Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill just created a massive tax planning opportunity. And if you're a retiree or getting close to retirement, this one's for you specifically. We recently had a client come in with a major portion of their assets within pre-tax retirement accounts. About $1.5 to $2 million to be exact. And by the time we ran the numbers on this new law from the One Big Beautiful Bill, we're looking at potentially tens of thousands of dollars in lifetime tax savings, just from doing some smart Roth conversions over the next few years. Today, I'm going to go over exactly how this works, who should be thinking about it, and the window that you have to take advantage of it. So let's get into it. All right, so real quick for anybody who isn't familiar, a Roth conversion is when you take money out of a pre-tax retirement account, like a traditional IRA or 401k, and you move it into a Roth IRA. You pay income tax on the money that you convert. But from that point forward, everything in that Roth grows tax-free. And when you withdraw from it in retirement, you pay zero federal income tax. Now, why would somebody volunteer to pay taxes today when they can just wait and pay it later? And it's all about the math here. If you're in a low tax bracket right now, maybe you've just retired but haven't started Social Security yet, you could pay 10 or 12% on that conversion. But if you leave all that money in pre-tax accounts and wait until you're required by the government to take required minimum distributions at age 73, those forced withdrawals could bump you up to the 22-24% tax bracket, especially for those with a large portion of assets in pre-tax accounts. So really, Roth conversions in this situation are about paying a small tax bill now to avoid paying a much larger one later. Think of it like buying tax savings in bulk. Let me paint the picture with some numbers, because this is where a lot of people don't realize how bad it can get. If you have, let's just say, 1.7 million in a traditional IRA at age 73, your first required minimum distribution is going to be around $64,000 to $70,000. And that's just the start. Every year, the percentage that the IRS forces you to take out goes up. By the time you're 80, 85, especially if the account has grown, you could be looking at a six-figure RMD. Now stack that on top of Social Security income, maybe a pension, maybe some rental income, and you're potentially getting pushed into the 24%, 32% tax bracket or even higher. That's a huge tax bill every single year. And you don't really have a say in it. The IRS is telling you you have to take this money out. And here's the thing a lot of people miss. Your RMDs can actually cause more of your Social Security to be taxable. It's like a snowball effect. The bigger the RMDs, the more everything else is going to get taxed too. It's pretty much a tax bomb. So this is where things get exciting though. The One Big Beautiful Bill, which was signed into law on July 4th, 2025, introduced a brand new deduction for people 65 and older. And here's how it works. If you're 65 years or older, you get an additional $6,000 deduction on top of your standard deduction. And if you're married filing jointly and both spouses are 65 or older, that's $12,000. And this is in addition to the standard deduction and in addition to the additional standard deduction you get for being over 65. So let me put that into context. A married couple where both spouses were 65 or older could have potentially had a deduction of up to $46,700 in the year of 2025. That means the first $46,700 of their income was tax-free at the federal level. That is a massive amount of room to do Roth conversion at very low rates. Now here's the catch, there are income phase-outs. The full $12,000 deduction for married couples is available if your modified adjusted gross income is below $150,000. It starts phasing out above that and it's completely gone at $250K. For single filers, the phase out starts at around $75,000 and is completely phased out at $175,000. And the other big thing, as it stands right now, this is temporary. The senior bonus deduction is only available 2025 through 2028. So you've got a 4-year window. After that, it's gone unless Congress decides to extend it. Let's walk through a real-world example, similar to the client that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Let's just say we have John and Susan. They're both 66 years old. John just retired. Susan still works part-time but is planning to quit soon. They have $1.7 million in John's old 401k, which they've rolled into a traditional IRA. They have a small pension bringing in about $24,000 a year, plus a little bit of rental income. Let's just say $15,000 a year. They're not taking any Social Security yet, and they plan to wait until age 67 or maybe even 70 in order to maximize the benefit. So right now, their income's about $39,000 after the standard deduction of $31,500, plus the age-related additional deduction of $3,200, plus the new senior bonus of $12,000. Their total deductions are $46,700. They're essentially paying zero in federal income taxes on their current income. And here's where the strategy kicks in. since their base income is below the $46,700 in deductions, and the 12% bracket for married filing jointly goes up to $96,950 in taxable income, they could convert a significant amount of their traditional IRA to Roth and stay in that 10 to 12% tax bracket the entire time. We're talking potentially $80,000 to $100,000 a year in Roth conversions, paying maybe 10 to 12% in tax. Do that for 3 or 4 years and you've moved $300,000, $400,000 into a Roth IRA, money that now grows tax-free and comes out tax-free for the rest of their lives. And you've dramatically reduced the size of those RMDs in the future. So if they don't do this and they decide to leave all $1.7 million in pre-tax accounts, by the time RMDs hit at age 73, that balance could be $2 million or more. Their RMDs are going to be $75,000, $80,000 a year on top of Social Security, which they delayed to get their maximum benefit. We're looking at the 22 or 24% tax bracket, potentially for the rest of their lives. We're talking about differences of tens of thousands of dollars over the course of retirement, plus the compounding effect of the money that you could have potentially saved in taxes over a longer time period, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, a few things to be aware of before you go and run and do this out on your own. First, the phase-out trap. Remember, the senior bonus deduction phases out as your income rises. If you convert too much in 1 year and push your modified adjusted gross income above $150,000, for married filers, you start to lose that deduction over the next 100K. That means you're not just paying a higher rate on the conversion, you're also losing a deduction that you would have gotten otherwise. So we have to be careful with the math here. Second thing, Medicare IRMA. I think I'm going to make another video on this at some point because this is important as well, but Medicare uses a 2-year look back on your income. So if you do a big Roth conversion in 2025, then that can increase your premiums in 2027. It's not a reason to not do a conversion, but it needs to be factored in. And third, pay the tax from outside the account. You want to pay the income tax from the conversion, from a brokerage account or a savings account, not from the IRA itself. If you use IRA money to pay the tax, you're reducing the amount going into a Roth. And if you're under 59.5, you could be hit with a 10% penalty on top of that. All right, so we're in a window where we have permanently locked in lower tax brackets from the Tax Cuts and Job Act extension, a brand new senior deduction that's possibly only here for the next few years, and a lot of retirees that have a natural dip in income before they start taking Social Security and are forced to take RMDs. That combination, I would say, is pretty rare. If you have a large pre-tax retirement account balance, this is a conversation that needs to be had. If you have a financial advisor, I would encourage you to talk with them ASAP. Don't leave money on the table. If you found this helpful, feel free to follow me. I'll try to do more videos like this in the future. Thanks and have a good day.